What's up, everybody, and welcome to the OK Taco Show. My name is Conrad, and how are you, buddy? Today is the 13th of September, 2023, the year of our Lord, and I'm back in the 1977 Airstream off of Route 66 in Davenport, Oklahoma, surrounded by Marvel and Pac-Man and Tron and other video games that people of the great town of Davenport and travelers of the great Mother Road of Route 66 can come enjoy, free of cost. But everybody already knows that, so what's up? Yeah, it's that time. It's time for your weekly escape from the normal stresses of life, and you come in here and enjoy the stresses of my life with me. And I'll try to give you a different perspective on what's going on with my world and the taco world and my family's world and how we're doing. And that's it. We'll get through this together, that kind of thing. So I was telling James earlier, Thick James, as you guys know him, I was talking to him earlier this evening about just kind of a theory of, you grow up in life and you think about sometimes people think way too much about it, and it's really hard depending on what you do, and what you think about is like what others might think. And if you have friends, like, there's two things: do you have friends? Do you have a lot of friends? You know what I mean? And then sometimes it feels like you don't have that many friends, and when you don't have that many friends, then you start thinking like, I wonder if anybody actually likes me. You know what I mean? It's not, a lot of people will say that, they'll be like, just be yourself, and all that kind of thing. And people like you. Don't worry, people will like you. But when the rubber meets the road, sometimes you're like, yeah, but if people did, then where are they? You know what I mean? And there's excuses for it sometimes, as far as people living their lives and stuff. But anyways, what I was saying is, if you ever have that suspicion, that feeling in your body, like, man, I'm not sure, I don't think people like me. One thing you can do is start a podcast. What happens is, after a couple months, you'll be excited for a while, and you'll tell all your friends about it and all your family about it, and they'll be excited for you, like they are for anything. It doesn't matter that you're saying podcast. Just take podcast out and put fishing or any other what they think is a hobby in there. You know what I mean? And that's how happy they are, and they are happy, and they'll even watch and listen and tell you it was fine or good or bad, if they're a good friend to your show. But you're going to find out real quick that ultimately a lot of people won't. A lot of people you thought would care won't. A lot of people you didn't think would care do. But, depending on what your expectations are of your podcasting endeavor, you might be disappointed after working at it for a year or 2 years or 3 years or 10 years on how little or maybe how bad you are at it. You know what I mean? So you start having shit, I'd say by year 2 or 3, you're going to have a lot of self-doubt about, I wonder if anybody is taking me seriously on this podcast thing. By year 6 or 7, you get mad and stuff. You almost can go through the 7 stages of grief by just doing a podcast for long enough. And you ultimately get to a point and realize, whatever, it doesn't, you just do it. You do it because it's part of you. You don't do it because of anything else. So what I was telling James tonight, back to wondering if people like you, is like, if you ever want to know if people like you, the best way to find out is open up a business that deals with the public. And you're going to find out if people like you, because, and then I told him that, and then laughed and asked him how many people even ate today. He's like, yeah, we've had 8 customers. So I said, see, that's how you get to confirm it, But those 8 people that do come in, they do really like you. And that's the part you got to focus on. And that's the part it's tough. It is the toughest. It's the toughest when doing a podcast. It's the toughest when mowing grass, It's the toughest just to feel like this is, you look around at what everybody else is doing, whether it be business or creative things like doing a show or doing music or whatever, and there's a part of, at least for me, there's a part of me that's like, man, I think I can do that, that kind of thing. I have the unfortunate mindset that I think that about anything I see, which is a dumb way to go about life. But you see something, say, I think I can do that, and then you work at it for a very long time, and then you realize maybe you can do it, but just because you can do it doesn't mean anybody will care. So you got to do it for yourself. And that's all great, and that's all true. The hard part is at a certain juncture, you got to have, you got to know where that line is, I guess, of, yeah, it's great I'm trying to do all this on your own, but I got to take care of my family, that kind of thing. So that's the fun pull of modern world when trying to, when a lot of your feedback is based on direct face-to-face sales. You know what I mean? That's what our feedback is here. So you just throw yourself into the fire, man. Like, at least if you go work at a different company, you can hide behind it almost. You know what I mean? If your company, if you work for frickin' Kroger, if you're one of them milk honeys and you're stocking milk at a Kroger store, a grocery store, and the grocery store goes out of business, nobody's like looking at you. They're like, oh man, what'd you do? Screw the milk up, Sandra? You know what I mean? Put the milk face in the right way, Sandra. We'd still be in business down there at Kroger. Shit. So you shouldn't probably lump the two together. And I know that, meaning you shouldn't probably lump your likability to your business endeavors, but when your goal is trying to create this family effort for one common vision and purpose, you know what I mean? And like when your goal is that, then it's hard because it all gets mixed, personal and business. So my wife is calling me. I think she knows that I'm on the show, and I don't know if I can see. This is Okay Taco Show. Hello? Hello? Okay. Well, that must have been a misdial, or somebody's getting thrown out of a door. So anyways, that's one thing I've been thinking about. It's just like, I just laughed at James and said, what are we doing here? Heather, stop calling me. I'm trying to do the show. She's FaceTiming me. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Family gets mixed with stuff you're trying to do. Can be frustrating, but you just got to get over it. So it doesn't really, none of this ultimately matters if Hollywood and Drew Barrymore don't start getting along. I mean, that's a bad segue maybe, but maybe it's because I just looked down at my phone and read the link that I've been reading all day, that the staff writers for the Drew Barrymore show, and you guys, if you've been following along at home with the OK Taco Show and Shannon and I and our infatuation or our idolization of Drew Barrymore and her daytime talk show, get ready to hear a little bit about it. I wish you'd been following along. Drew Barrymore, if you guys don't know, she's a child actress from the movie E.T., Extraterrestrial. And she was terrific in that film, and then she was in a movie called Leon the Professional, and then from there on out, she was in 50 First Dates, and then now she hosts a show. That's a long and short of Drew Barrymore's career. And she's well-deserved of this daytime talk spot, and she wears lawsuits. She wears gigantic men's shoulder-padded lawsuits to the Drew Barrymore show, which is what caught my attention as somebody who observes aesthetic anomalies. I was looking around. There's a woman dressed in a David Byrne suit. What's going on here? Oh, wait, that woman's Drew Barrymore. Let me hear more. Oh, wait, a segment called Drew's News. I'm interested. You know, I like to see when somebody's cooking like marshmallow yams or something, you know, and I like to see what a bunch of audience members wearing COVID masks, how they clap to something like that. It's like I get a bird's eye snow globe view of a whole segment of America. Because if you think about it, people who legitimately go to Drew Barrymore's show to get anything out of it other than probably joy. And even if they go there for a legitimate joy purpose, they want to go feel happy at Drew Barrymore's show. They've always liked her, been a fan of her, want to go watch her and support her. That's true. But I got to know who that person is. And the fact that people go to a live taping of what is probably multiple shows in a row that are filmed of Drew Barrymore, like in succession, they're just in, you know, one after the other. They probably watched 3 or 4 shows in a row, eat some snacks, have some stuff, you know, talk to other Drew Barrymore fans. But there's also a whole part where these people are planning their trip to California to watch Drew Barrymore. That's wild to me. And that's what's so interesting to me about it. But the bad news is Drew Barrymore is kind of being a rebel right now. She is planning on her show returning later this month amid what apparently is a big writer's strike. And I don't know if you're like me and you live in the middle of the country and you have no involvement in the entertainment world whatsoever. When you read about what's going on out there or you hear about it via the news that there's a Hollywood writer's strike and like it stops production of late night TV and it stops production of all these different things, we as consumers of those things, of that entertainment, if you're like me, you don't really miss a beat. They've backloaded the entire streaming service of everything. They've backloaded of so much crap to catch up on. You know, those writers could be striking for the next 32 years and we would not run out of bullshit to watch on our stupid TVs, you know? I don't know if you guys are aware, but like every movie that ever existed has a TV series somewhere that you probably didn't even know about. All the rights have been bought and all the shows have been made, and you really don't need a lot of great writers for that, being how you're just revamping an old script anyways, you know? You're just restructuring an old idea. So anyways, these writers get real pissed off when people try to do stuff without them. That's their purpose. They're supposed to write the words that you say, you know? And so when Drew Barrymore defiantly says, hey, I've been looking through my stuff and you guys, you know, I'm not saying you're not great writers because you all are. And I'm glad you're here, kind of. But, you know, other than Drew's news, what are you guys doing? I mean, what are you writing? And, but maybe I'm wrong. You know, I'll have to look. I did pull one just to let you know what you guys might be missing from the writers being gone on the Drew Barrymore show. And if you're a big fan like me, this is important to you. By the way, the headline of RollingStone.com, which is the same publication that ran a headline of the Boston Marathon bomber. So these are two, the headline today, at that day it was Boston Marathon bombing. They were allowed to print that and people read it. Same publication printed this. The Drew Barrymore show is in chaos. Picketing writers and WGA, whatever that is, Writers Guild Association, I'm assuming. So anyways, from a different website called Decider.com, I pulled these moments just to let you know what those writers of Drew Barrymore have come up with. This is the top 10 moments of Drew Barrymore show. Number 10, Drew fights Savannah Guthrie over a creepy human-sized teddy bear. That's pretty damn good, isn't it, buddy? All right. Drew and Savannah Guthrie became embroiled in a tug-of-war that could only be compared to the likes of a WWE SmackDown. That's what Drew Barrymore will do, dude. She doesn't give a crap. What are you, from the Today Show, Savannah Guthrie? How about let's tug this bear for the audience? They come all this way during COVID. Number 9, Drew keeps it real, okay? I was in mental institutions, too. That's a quote from Drew Barrymore. Nothing like a solid Drew's News segment. Drew's News. Where Drew leaves fellow co-host Ross Matthews, who is, as far as co-hosts, and I've had some of the best ever. Shannon was a great co-host or host or whatever you want to call him. But was Shannon a Ross Matthews? Even he would admit none of us could be a Ross Matthews. He's one and only. So Ross Matthews was there this one episode when Drew Matthews was gushing over the gorgeous teenage years that the actress spent in red carpets. However, she was quick to remind him she was in a mental institution too. Not only was she hot, she was a hot mess. Ooh. Number 8, George Clooney come on the show and did a therapy session with Drew Barrymore. Sexiest man alive, 61 years old, smoking hot. And Drew laid down on the floor for an improv therapy session. That's improv. That's a number 8 moment. Writers Guild, improvise. They didn't need you. Drew doesn't need you. She's gonna Drew's news you without you. Her cooking segment, never forget Drew's cooking. Drew loves to cook. Drew loves to eat. I haven't seen a show where she's not talking while chewing. One of my favorite things about her. She rolled up her sleeves on her shoulder padded ball suit. And she was making, on this segment, flubbed some measuring instructions from Camila Cabello, prompting the show's producer to call her out via an earpiece in the middle of the episode. Oh, man. She said she liked large underwear. That's number 6. That's obviously not written. And anyways, I don't really want to read the top 5 because I can't take any more Drew Barrymore. A little bit goes a long ways with Drew Barrymore. But she's getting after it over there in Hollywood. She's not making friends with the writers. A lot of them have contacted her. One of them had said she should reach in her family trust and pay the writers while they strike the show. And I hope she does. And I hope those writers get what they want. Good for them. Keep it up. You guys got it going on out there. And please vote and figure it out. You guys got it. So one of the things I come up with, and the help of my writer on this particular invention, was my son. My son helped me write this invention, so I will give him a little bit of credit, and he's not on strike right now. So I've been struggling with Thick James, on trying to get him motivated for activity, movement. I don't need my brother to be like in peak physical form, you know what I mean? He doesn't have to be like let's see, like Chris, who's the guy I watched on the Wonder Woman? There's a Chris Evans. That's probably a bad example. Nobody knows who that is. I didn't even know who it was till I watched Wonder Woman. He doesn't have to be like Tom Cruise. You know what I mean? Tom Cruise. But I don't want him. He's having trouble. You know, you just want him to be able to move around. There's a mobility issue of just the everyday accommodations that living in this human world has. You know what I mean? Some vehicles are hard to get into because they're tall. Some are hard to get into because they're short. Some doorways are weird. Steps are weird. And when any of these little anomalies show up in my brother's life, they trip him up because physically he's just been kind of sitting and taking it easy for a while, which is fine, you know. And I don't want him to push it, but I've been, you know, trying desperately to get him to just walk, you know. And I've even put this walk for 20 minutes a day. That's it. I just want you to walk. And we joke about it. And I don't, ultimately, it's his freaking life, and he can be, if he's happy, then he's happy, that kind of thing. But, you know, in my selfishness, I want him to be around for longer, so I don't want to, you know, and I want to be able to understand him. He gets so clogged up, he smokes so many cigarettes, and he sits for so long, his body gets all clogged up with words, you know. Words and smoke get pushed down into his lungs, and he tries to get them up, and they cough out of him. So I'm trying to get him to walk that out. But it's been a struggle. And so oftentimes, because I have a son who's 10 or 11 and very smart and perceptive, you know, I'll be giving James like, hey man, I think you can do it. You'll be fine. Just walk down. And I try to give like locations and places to move, like walk to, and knowing that that would be about 20 minutes. And then Jonah always has to chime in because that's what an 11-year-old boy will do. Yeah, you got to. Yeah. What do you mean you're not? You never. That kind of thing. And it's all fun banter. And James sometimes will be like, get defensive about it, which is understandable. Be like, man, whatever. I'm not going to do it. I don't want to. I was like, all right. And so the other day I was driving home and I was thinking, like, and I asked, and I'll ask you, maybe you guys can come up with this. I was thinking that because I couldn't find, like, every opportunity I threw as an option out to James. I mean, even making stuff up, just imaginary options of things he could do, like would want to do, that have nothing to do with the business or nothing to do with anything other than it's just more than sitting, smoking, and staring. You know what I mean? Sometimes I feel like I'm in that movie with Robin Williams in The Awakening, where they just keep pushing the people in the Drew Barrymore mental hospital up to the window so they can stare outside. And I feel like I'm that person staring out a window, but also staring at a man who's just staring off into the distance. So, you know, maybe that's what the people in the mental hospitals do too. I don't know. But so what I was trying to think of was like, I wonder if, and this is just a random thought, you guys probably have them, where how many of the gummy bears, the little Harborough gummy bears, I wonder how many of those gummy bears it would take for, if you melted them down in a big pot, like a cauldron, and if you were to smear, so you wouldn't want them hot, but you need them still pliable, like movable. I wonder how many it would take if I could smear and make James into a human teddy bear out of gummy bear, like a human gummy bear, and put a little pipe in there for, like, a hole drilled in where his mouth is for cigarettes, obviously, and for talking. You know, he could put a straw and talk to you. And then possibly, you know, you would need some sort of hole or like crack. You know how when gummy bears, you can crack a gummy bear and still kind of push it back together and you won't notice the crack. So maybe if I put his little crack in a gummy bear butt cheeks, you know, you could have a human gummy bear, I think. It's possible. And I'm amazed that, and I haven't looked it up, but I'm amazed that no one's done it. And I don't want people to eat them, but I think that's what I told him. I said, Bud, if you're going to be sitting outside a lot, smoking, which is fine, and you want to just kind of, you know, kind of find yourself right now, kind of rundle around and trundle and, you know, just find yourself, maybe you should think about this as an opportunity, just becoming a human gummy bear. Of course, Jonah got a kick out of that, and we've been kind of designing it. And the real tough issue is I don't want it to be, one, messy. I worry about that. But two, also just, I don't want the heat of it. I feel like you'd have to melt the gummies down and they'd be like boiling hot. And I don't know if you've ever been in a hot tub, but even 102 degrees is actually pretty hot when you're soaking your body in it. I'm not sure how hot you're supposed to have them. I know that Tucker Carlson, famous Twitter show user guy, Tucker Carlson, he does a sauna every day at 200 degrees, he says. And for like an hour, which to me seems... I had a sauna, an infrared sauna I bought off Craigslist for $300, and I drove to Topeka, Kansas. It seems I go to Topeka for things often. But anyways, I drove to Topeka, Kansas to get this sauna, and the highest it would go was like 160. And it would take probably 20 minutes to heat up to that temperature. And you could sit in 160. I could probably sit in there for an hour. I know I did, but 200, I mean, that's freaking hot. But when you watch Tucker Carlson's show, if you've ever heard him laugh, it makes sense. He has a giggle that you can only get from being heated up too much. You know what I mean? Have you ever cooked a potato? every once in a while you'll cook a potato without poking holes in it, and you'll hear the microwave kind of squeak. That's what I think Tucker Carlson's laugh is because of his sauna usage. So, anyways, I don't know what I was talking about that for. Hot. Oh, I was worried about the heat of the gummies. Yeah. That's my biggest worry. I don't know what to do with them. Some days I get pretty frustrated with it, but not in the sense of like I'm mad, more like in the sense of I don't know if he's feeling good about anything. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. I probably shouldn't worry about it so much, but it gets tough, man, when we're just been slow. So when we get slow, all you do is reflect on what you're doing wrong. You don't want to be too busy because then all you do is like you're panicked if you don't even know what you're doing. So it's this early, I call it like you're just hoping to build some sort of audience, really, even for your food. You're hoping to build this dependable customer base that gets it and that understands it, like that gets that you want to be a place that is basically just normal McDonald's, quick, blue collar, grab and go stuff, but you also don't want to treat people like those places treat people, which is like shit. And it's understandable that those places do that because they treat their employees that way. So it's a very tough because I don't know. That's the balance now. So you hope it works, but it's just hope. So I don't know how much stock you can put into it. I guess everything. And so anyways, yeah, that's Drew Barrymore, guys. Just think about it if you want to. Open the show about a warning about how to prove you don't have friends. Oh yeah, warning. So if you want to prove that you don't have friends, just open up a restaurant or probably anything else. Here's a weird thing that I noticed happening in my life, and it's never happened before. I've been married for 15 or 16 or not sure, somewhere around there. And it was without a doubt the best decision that was made, but it was never really, it's always kind of seemed like, I think if you marry what you think is the right person, as long as you just got to be able to grow and change together. That's kind of the big thing. But anyways, 15 years. And we've been growing and changing together for 15 years. You grow and change when you have kids. You grow and change when you lose people. You grow and change when you try new things, all that stuff. And a lot of times that's what causes all the bullshit. You know what I mean? Because one person grew and changed and the other person didn't, or vice versa. And so that's at least my opinion on it. And I just sell tacos in Davenport, so what do I know? But for all those years, there's usually, I think, and you would probably agree with this, there's usually like similar things that once you get to know each other, habits form and grocery lists are made, and you kind of know what you can expect at home. You know what I mean? You might bring a stranger home, you might bring a friend home, and that friend may have no idea what to expect in your refrigerator. That's always fun. You know what I mean? Like, I love going to somebody's house and looking in their fridge because it baffles me every time how different we are. You know, I could know this guy my whole life. You know, and then you find out what's in their fridge and you're like, holy smokes, really? You know, shit, you got sweet relish in here? What's that for? It's just the funnest thing. You reach in there and you're like, huh, skim milk, huh? And what do you got here? Baby greens? You know, it puts a whole personality. It changes your whole perception on somebody because what you consume a lot of times, like where you decide that you're gonna eat, what you decide you're gonna buy, what you're gonna decide you're gonna cook, that becomes part of you because it becomes a big part of your day. You know, I think I'm gonna have this for breakfast, have this for lunch, all this stuff. And so you have this whole freaking universe of what you do for food, and your fridge reflects that. Your pantry reflects that. And so when you are living a life, say that you're living a life where you work as a receptionist at a gas company, okay? And your best friend from high school just got a divorce, needs a job. She comes and works at the gas company with you. Her name's Darlene, okay? And you and Darlene used to hang out every day. You guys dated the same boys. You knew everything about each other. You call each other's mom's mom. You're practically sisters. This is Aunt Darlene. She's going to be helping us out here at the gas company for a while. Aunt Darlene gets a trailer and a new boyfriend, okay? You're going to be sitting there at the gas company one day. You guys have been working together now since Darlene started. She's been 6 months together. She's going to invite you over for a barbecue. You're going to go over to her barbecue and you're going to open her fridge and you're going to realize you don't know anything about Darlene. Darlene, what is this, Darlene? Coffee creamer, Kahlua favored? What's this about? At work, you always say that you don't drink cream. And she's like, well, sometimes at home on weekends I do. What? I didn't know that about you. What do you got here? Why did you get the cheese sticks that have both the orange cheese and the white cheese swiveled? You know? And so the reason I bring up all that is because after a certain number of years of marriage, you think that you've seen it all. And it took a while to get used to. I'm sure it took a while. Like, it took a while for my wife to get used to seeing an uncovered frozen pizza in the fridge. You know? Like it matters. That's the funniest thing about frozen pizza. You can cook a frozen pizza, and then I will put it on the oven. And I'm like every other jackass American who will use either that cardboard disc that the pizza comes on as the platter. That's what you're supposed to use it for, I think, to get it out of the oven. Or I will use the pizza box as the platter to get it out of the oven. And when you use the pizza box as the platter, that you set the cooked pizza on, and it sets on top of the oven. So you got a Tony's crushed up box with a crappy Tony's pizza on top of it. One, it's the most delicious thing you're going to ever eat. But number two is when you walk back to get your second helping of Tony's frozen pizza, the pizza for $2, you will see it sitting there on that garbage. It is just garbage. And it will make you feel, and you will feel like garbage. When you look at it, you'll feel like garbage. It's true. Now, if you ask anyone who actually knows me and who's ever known me, my favorite food is frozen pizza. So understand that sometimes listen, you are what you is. You are what you eat. And I eat, I must be. Because I look at that frozen pizza on that crushed up box and I think, I'm garbage. And it sits there for freaking 5 hours because you watch a movie and whatever. It ends up being midnight. You stumble in there like, oh, crap, I left the pizza out. You grab the box and you put it in the fridge. You put the pizza uncovered in the fridge on the box. Because who cares? But when you get married and you do that, the person you married might walk in, open the fridge and go, what the hell are you doing? And you're like on your heels. What? Doing? What are you talking about? What are you doing with the pizza? Like, what pizza? The frozen pizza. You put it in the fridge uncovered. And in your mind, you're like, of course I did. It's frozen pizza. Who cares? In her mind, you put stuff in bags and keep it organized and clean. And so for the past 15 years, I have been, when it comes to the fridge, learning to accept surprises. There's times when I'd open the freezer and bags of just bagged tomatoes. Nothing, it's as if somebody went to Kroger, bought all of the Roma tomatoes, put them in freezer bags and said, I wonder how many we can put in Conrad's freezer. And they packed it full, And I don't know what they're for. And I have, then there'd be the mystery of I guess I'm going to see when we eat these. And I'd carry them from house to house, freezer to freezer, year to year, almost as like a quest, And with all that history and me of being surprised of what my wife and I have in our refrigerator, with all of that, I walked in, and to give you, we live in a 1920s craftsman home. The think people have called them like mound houses. They got the big porch with the columns, big cement porch, and then it's about 835 square foot of actual home. If you're wanting to know just basically how much space I got, that's about that much, which is nice. And anyways, I'll walk in. My bedroom and my wife's bedroom is to our left there from the front door. You're in the music room. Then there's this nice little arch. It's about, if you take short steps, about 10 steps, if you kind of go heel toe. But if you take strides, you're about 2 strides away from arch 1. Then you're in the living area, TV, couch. Take another 3 strides, regular door, kitchen. Take another few strides around the table, another door, back, mudroom, refrigerator's there. So after that journey, that 700 linear feet journey that I took, I opened up that fridge. I seen a bag that said apricots, 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 and it was befuddling. I thought, what's going on here? Because I don't know if I got hit by lightning, and I've talked about it a bit, or died in February, or got hit by a planet, or got abducted by aliens, or got sucked up into the heavens, and I've thought about all those different scenarios and tried to research as many as I could to see if I could find any correlation to any of them, and I'm still kind of confused. But most days I feel like I'm getting through it though. Whatever it was, it seems to have passed. I feel each day feel more like myself and more growing into myself, that kind of thing. You like have all these self-affirming emotions of keep going, you got it, you're all right, you're not dead, all that stuff. And then you open up the fridge and see a bag of apricots, and you're like, what the hell is going on here? What matrix am I in? Is this my house? It looked like 800 square foot when I pulled up, but maybe I'm in the wrong mansion. Maybe I'm in the wrong plantation, because for 15 years, I was in an apricot-free zone. I didn't even know what they were. I'd heard the word on a cartoon one time, thinking it was something that Hey Arnold made up. A made-up fruit from Hey Arnold. An apricot. Old football head, an apricot boy. I didn't know that in the heart of the country, on the heart of the Mother Road, in Route 66 territory in Oklahoma, yes, sir, you can buy a bag of apricots and put them in your fridge. You can buy it randomly and just act like it's normal. Then I screamed audibly, ah, like you do when you find something like a spider. Like a spider was in my fridge. Wow, what is this? What alien put this weird thing in here? Just shocking. It's just, that's the weird thing about it. It's because it's the unexpected. I'm expecting to open that refrigerator and see like one of those Ziploc bags with the pork steak kind of like stuck to the sides of it. You know how them Ziploc bags, notice that they never show you in the Ziploc commercials your shitty, greasy food all frozen and shit in there. Because that's what it always looks like. There's never looks appetizing. That's why I think that's why we turned into such a throwaway culture, because nobody eventually wanted to eat leftovers, because it doesn't matter if you cooked the greatest if you're a stew head and you cooked the greatest stew in the world, if you're one of them Mississippi stew boys, and you got a great stew in the fridge, when you open that up on day 2 and all the greasy crud and all the stuff stuck to the lid, looks nasty. Looks like you want to throw it away and not reheat it. And I think that's why people don't like leftovers. I think that's like an old generation. Like older people, depression people, they could, it didn't matter. There was no food. You just eat out of a boot, So leftovers were big for the boomers, and I think boomers' kids got spoiled. Fortunately for myself, sometimes the economics of a life can just force you to eat leftovers and appreciate them. And that's what I do. And, each day that pork steak sticks to the side of that plastic. To me, that's just flavor brewing in there. And that's what I'm expecting to see when I open that fridge. But instead, what I see is a bag of apricots. And I screamed like a little girl, and my wife came running in, and I said, "Put the gun down." You know, it's not that big a deal. I just didn't know what these apricots were. And she said that, "Don't you remember I was going on a diet, right?" It's like, well, no, I didn't, babe. It's the first time you've ever said that to me. Um, of course, we're human, and we've been together for 20 years. You're going to go on mini diets, and none of those ever put this weird oriental weird southern nobody knows where they come from, weird Indian, these weird ocean fruits these weird grow from the Great Barrier Reef fruits in my fridge. So it was fine. I prayed about it, and it's cool. She can eat them. She asked me if I wanted to bite, and then said, "Be careful, there's a pit in there," So I didn't bite it. I told her I wasn't feeling like it, just not that adventurous. And it was probably not because it was a Monday, but because it was a Monday, you just don't want to get in. That's a whole week you got left if you think of it in that way. You don't want to eat a bad fruit on a Monday and have it affect you on a Friday. And that's what fruit will do. Fruit's got about a 4-day bomb period. I did this one time. One time I drank grape juice, or I drank grape juice. And anyway, however you say that, one time somebody had grape juice at their house, and I said, "Can I have a little bit of that?" And they said, "Have as much as you want. We don't like it." It was cranberry grape. And I said, "That's awesome." I had one small glass of it, and I said, "Can I really have as much as I want?" And they said, "Yeah." I'd never had it before. I'd never tasted cranberry or grapes. And I certainly never tasted them the way those overall men from the Ocean Spray commercial, mixed them. There's been many times I've had a brown grape, a hot grape from sitting. My mom used to buy grapes and set them on the counter. I'd have a bunch of hot brown grapes in my life, but I've never had an Ocean Spray farmer loved grape that had been impregnated by the cranberry and mixed into this delicious concoction. And so I drank 2 gallons of that, whatever. And I felt great, and I liked it. And I think it gave me a sugar rush, and I felt lightheaded for a while. I felt like I was floating. And got up, was fine, felt hydrated, like I talked to people more, felt like I was doing all right. And then 3 or 4 days later, all that grape juice, all that cranberry, because it's a fruit, it took about that long, it all hit me. And that'll cripple you. That will cripple you. That's what happens. You got to be careful with fruit. And maybe that's why you're supposed to take balance in nature. Because it's the perfect amount in gummy form. If I could turn my brother into a giant balance of nature gummy bear that visitors of Route 66 can see, ooh. But that's why you have to take it. Because if you try to eat that fruit world on your own with no experience, you're going to get crippled. And what I mean by crippled is this. You're going to be walking. And you're going to be confident. You just drank 2 gallons of grape juice a few days ago. That's got a bunch of vitamins. You don't even know which ones. But you're feeling them. You're feeling freaking vascular. You're feeling strong. And you're hip-hopping around town. And all of a sudden, you'll be at a clothing store. You're going to be at maybe the Gap. What is that other one? Is there a cheaper one than the Gap? What's that crappy one I bought my shorts at the mall? Old Navy. You're going to be at a damn Old Navy. And you're going to be looking through the clearance section. Oh my gosh. Graphic tees are 2 for $8. Oh my. Let me look through these. Look, this one says pumpkin spice. Happy fall, y'all. I'll have it all. It's like, that's funny. It's pumpkin spice. It's almost October. And so you're going to do that. You're going to be at the Old Navy, and you're going to say, "I'm going to try this on." You're going to take one step, and all that grape juice, all of that cranberry is going to hit you. All those apricots are going to hit you. Tread lightly. When you're, science has said, and they don't like talking about it because they make a lot of mistakes. Shit, recently they found out that the universe was twice as old as they thought. Oops, our bad. But they definitively say stuff until they have to definitively say they were wrong. In which case they say, now here's the definitive truth. Meaning nothing they say is definitive. But I did take this one. I think that's true. Scientists have said that the effects of an overdose on just fruit sometimes it'll be worse than like the effects of an overdose on like a Molly or a narcotic, cocaine. They've seen people overdose on fruit and the effects of that. Remember that bath salts guy? That's apples. That dude he went on an all apple diet and he ate that dude's face. You get too much damn straight from the tree fruits, you're going to do some wild stuff. So you got to be careful with that. So I told James about the apricots, and we started talking about the safeties and the dangers of that and how it was shocking to see in the fridge. And he had also never had an apricot. But it got him thinking, and we are thinking about creating a new product here at OK Taco Company. Well, we're not really creating a new product. We'll be selling a new product. It's already been created. In fact, God created it, if you believe in God, which, at least in my opinion, that's a smart thing to do. I lean towards that. But God created this. It's a dried up prune. You guys know them as raisins. And James told me that he's been thinking that he's going to start, because we were California Raisins when we were kids. We were fans of the musical group California Raisins, and we dressed up in Halloween costumes as California Raisins. And, we liked their message on drugs and on voting, and so we've always kind of been fans of them. So he's like, I'm thinking about selling some raisins here. And I stopped what I was doing. I was cooking some ground beef for our imaginary customers, and I said, hold on a second. Turned off. What'd you say? You said you're thinking about selling raisins? And he confirmed that's what he was thinking. And so that's the plan. We're going to get a bunch of I think sun-kissed or sun-dried raisins. The one with the woman that is picking, the one with the woman that's got the big hat on that's like sitting in a field of raisins, I guess, picking raisins. I don't know. It's a small box. We're going to get boxes of those and paint or put a sticker over her on one side and for James's raisins. And they're going to be like $1 a box or something. But if you want a combo meal, right now you can get a combo meal for $3 extra. You get a Twinkie or a Ding Dong, a bag of chips, and a soda to add to your meal, to your burrito. And James said, smartly, once we got raisins here, we can also pick a bag of chips, Twinkie, Ding Dong, soda, and or raisin. You can get Sir, did you want a bag of chips or a box of raisins? The fact that I get to hear that question being asked by either side of the counter is why I am willing to continue in this endeavor. You want to be a shop that's known for they have... Yeah. You guys been down that taco shop? Oh, yeah. Yeah, they started selling raisins. Oh. And I told him that, times are going to get tough. Times could get tough. I mean, they already are. It's just time. Time is tough. Time is the only constant that is tough. So we're fighting it all the time, buddy. But the fight could get a little bit harder depending on the resources that we have. But I'm willing to continue that battle because of things like that. Because of I wouldn't mind if there was a rumor that went around town that said we were the shop that was trying to sell raisins. It's not that I want it on my headstone. I just want it to be associated at some point. So I'm really excited about that, and I don't know how much raisins cost. I imagine they're like grapes, but a little bit more because they're dried up. So they got the drying process. Because like with steak, I think the dryer and I don't know. You would think the best steak would be is like if you hit a cow with a sword and like over a fire. Maybe even better would just be cook. Would you just cook a live cow? I don't think you can. Maybe because the guts would be gross, I guess. I don't know how that works. Do cows even have guts because they got 9 stomachs? Nobody really tells you how cows work, you know? They got this big giant orb of milk that floats between, I'm guessing, what is the girl cow, but then yet you can have girl cows that don't have the orbs, yet you can also have like boy cows that look just like girl cows or boy cows that are bulls. Like that's as much cowing as I know, calling cow herd. And I think that's it. Like, and then you have like those big long hairy cows that are in like South America, and then you got those skinny little Japanese cows that they like keep in skinny cages, and then you got the Hindu cows. There's different cultures of cows, but I don't know if anybody's ever actually. They tell you where the cuts of beef are, but nobody ever really tells you what the innards are, what they're working with in there. You know what I mean? They say they got 9 stomachs. Do they got 9? I don't know. I don't want to know bad enough to go looking though. So yeah, I don't want to go bad enough to go looking on those. But the freshest meat you would think would be like the quicker from the hoof. But then you see those steakhouses that have dry aged steak, which I think they just leave it out on a brick or something for like 2 or 3 weeks and then charge you $200 for. So I don't even know if it's better. People will just I think sometimes if something costs more in the setting and all this, people are like, yeah, it was great. Even though I guess what I mean is, if I had one of those a Wagyu or an Angus, I don't know which matters or which you think is better, so whatever. If I have a fresh Angus filet, and I dry age it, and I do it the right way, the right process, you know what I mean? So it's healthy, and I cook it the right way. I guarantee you that if we go to like Ruth's Chris, which apparently is a real fancy steakhouse in Texas, and I think they have a few locations. If we go to a Ruth Chris and pay $200 for a steak, or Four Seasons or Mastro's and pay $500 for a steak, and it's dry aged, I don't think that if I had a Wagyu steak at home that I was like leaving on top of the fridge, and you came over and I was like, yeah, I'll split that steak with you, but it's gonna be about $250 a piece. I don't think people would go for that. Even though I bet it tastes similar. And I think that for whatever reason, people, I don't know, you just pay for that experience, I guess. But then we say that the steak was good. Does that make sense? Like, my wife and I one time went to a seafood restaurant in Hawaii when we went on our honeymoon. So what happened was we cut grass for my whole life. My dad used an American Express card and saved all of his points, probably for like something he wanted to do, like drive a NASCAR with Jeff Gordon or something. And anyways, I took all his American Express points and booked a hotel in Hawaii and did that for my honeymoon. And that was great. And it was a great decision, and I don't regret it. And, you know, do I think that he missed out on a great time getting to, pal around with Dale Earnhardt Jr.? Sure. But I think he would have wanted it this way anyways. And so we went to Hawaii, and because the part of getting to Hawaii was paid for, all we had to pay for was our food. And so we just ate hot dogs the whole week and told ourselves we'd take one night where we'd have a fancy dinner. And we went and ordered whatever we wanted at this seafood restaurant where the man who plays the tiny guitar was singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And it's crazy. It was a great restaurant, and I don't even know, it's fresh, supposedly. They take, the fish, you got the catch of the day, and I don't even know what I ate, what fish it was, carp, I think. And so you paid $100 for a carp at some Hawaiian restaurant, and guess what? You leave and you say, that was the best fish I ever had. That's what we did. That was really good. But looking back, I wonder if it was that good or if it was the fact that we had been eating hot dogs all week. We had, we're celebrating. This is our big celebration dinner for our marriage. All of these excitements and emotions are in that dinner, and it's just a decent piece of carp. But you romanticize the whole experience, and the cost doesn't matter. And then you say that the food is good, almost to validate the whole experience. I don't know. I don't know why I was talking about that. Oh, raisins. Anyways, we're going to start selling raisins. So it's just been a slow week, but we're having fun. I'm glad I got to do the show. I'm glad you guys are watching. Thank you. If you're watching live on Facebook, so thank you. James is still here. He's inside watching TV. He just didn't have much to say, so... And I didn't really have much. I had a couple news stories, but I don't have time to get to them. And Jonah's trying to get a hold of me, so I'm going to get out of here. But, yeah. So, anyways, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for supporting the show. Thanks for subscribing on Patreon if you want to. Patreon.com/OKTacoClub. Be a club member. We do it live on Facebook. Drew Barrymore, I don't know if I'm with you or against you. They're calling her a scab now, and I don't... We're going to have to do some digging. If we're going to live in a world where people can picket the Drew Barrymore show and call that woman a scab, we're going to have to do some soul searching a little bit, I think, in this country. So, you let Drew Barrymore eat, okay? She wants to turn that camera on and eat for those people. You let her eat, okay? And you don't take away Drew's news. That's Drew's news, okay? So that's how I feel about the Drew Barrymore show, everybody. And thank you guys for watching and listening and subscribing and supporting. And we'll be here in Davenport tomorrow. So we'll be open 11 to 8. We'll see you next week on the show. Thank you guys. Don't let your meatloaf. Have an okay day. Peace.